Welcome to Inside the Arena. I'm your host, Anton Rojas. If you haven't yet, make sure to follow Inside the Arena on all social media platforms and hit that notification bell on Spotify and YouTube so you never miss an episode. Now, bago tayo magsimula, mga kaastig, we're giving away a total of 5,000 Arena Plus vouchers to 10 new users. So make sure to finish this episode and answer the question we posed to you. At huwag kalimutang ilagay ang Arena Plus username nyo. Join na. Mga kaastig, today I am thrilled to introduce to you guys our special guest. He is one of the most recognized Filipino racers, someone who brought the Filipino pride to the international scene. Please welcome Marlon Stockinger. Marlon, thank you so much for your time, man.
Hey, Anton. Thanks for having me.
So are you growing the beard? Is this a new look that you're rocking?
No, I mean, I've been able to grow a beard since I think I was a teenager. So once in a while, I mean, it is November. Maybe I'm doing no shave November, basically. Yeah.
So currently, the Radical Challenge is ongoing. So could you tell us a little bit about it? How's that going right now?
Yeah, so the Radical Challenge is the fastest racing series in the country. We're in our fourth year, which is crazy. Time flies by. And then we've had 3 races already, 2 in Clark, 1 in Batangas and BRC. The last one's going to be coming up like November 22. We're going to have 4 races that weekend. And, you know, these cars, they're kind of like prototype Formula cars. So they're open wheel, they have downforce. The cars, like our SR1, which is our baseline model, weighs about 600 kilos when we run it in the races, which is, you know, half the weight of what a normal road-going car is. It has a 1300 Hayabusa engine, 1300 cc. And these cars, like for a quarter of the price of a Porsche GT3 or Ferrari, are the fastest things in the country. So it's really like the pinnacle, I'd say, of motorsport. Here in the Philippines, we've had drivers like Inigo Anton. He's raced with us 2 years in the series. It's a great foundation for young talent to learn what like a proper race car does, because that's what they're really built to do. We're a proper sports car manufacturer, and on top of it, a dealership. So if people want to own their own real race car, that's what we do here in the Philippines. Yeah.
Wow, that was a lot. So I'm sure simula pa lang to. We're gonna get to learn so much more about racing and of course about Marlon Stockinger. We're gonna talk about your life, how you got into racing, how you learned to get behind the wheel and do your thing all the way up to the international scene, and talk about some of your plans moving forward. But before that, before we get to the thick of our conversation, let's play a quick game. It's called Over and Under. So It's very simple. I'm just going to name various racers, and then you're going to have to tell me if the numbers associated with their names are over or under.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm game. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
Let's
Hopefully
get
I'll get it
right. Okay, so the first name, Lewis Hamilton, 100 F1 Grand Prix wins. Over or under?
You know, wow. That's, man, 100 wins, no? You know what? I think that's actually under. I think it's under for Lewis Hamilton. I think he has more than 100. It's most probably like 105. Yeah.
So our research says Lewis Hamilton has won a record of 105.
There you go. Right there. It's all in the head.
So 21 with McLaren, 84 with Mercedes.
Yeah.
So you said over or under?
I said under, and I said it was 105.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next one. Max Verstappen, 6 F1 championship titles.
Well, he already seems like, I think he has 6 at this point with how his career is going, but I think that's over. And I think Max has 4 world championships right now.
So, yep, he has 4 F1 titles. Man, you really know your stuff. Okay, Sebastian Vettel, 3 F1 World Drivers' Championships.
So that's under, and Seb has actually 4 world championships.
Wow, 3 for 3 now.
Yeah.
So he's a 4-time World Formula One World Drivers Champion, winning
Yes.
consecutively from 2010 to 2013. Wow. Nobody has perfected this, by the way.
What do you mean
Like, yeah, this
this
over
challenge?
and under challenge.
Well,
yeah.
I'd like to consider myself like a racing like encyclopedia or nerd, and then I had to do a lot of that during my stint or my career as a broadcaster for Formula One, right? So I worked for Fox Sports and BN Sports,
Yeah,
the most recent. So just having those little tidbits, I guess, for the audience always colors like the show or the broadcast for
Yeah.
them too.
Yeah, and fans appreciate that when you do your research and have knowledge and trivia about the subjects that you cover.
Yeah.
All right, how about this? Fernando Alonso, 20 years as a racer.
20 years, darn. Because I think Alonso was the youngest ever world champion. And as far as I know, he's already pushing 45. So I think 20 years is actually under. And his career is most probably at like 23 years now. Almost a quarter of a century, this guy.
Yeah, so you're right again because he's been racing for 25 years.
There you
Fernando
go.
Alonso. Yeah.
So bang on the money.
Yeah. How about I'm not sure how to say his name. Kyle Busch?
Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch.
Okay, this sounds like we're going to America and NASCAR.
Yeah, so 230 NASCAR wins, over or under?
I think Kyle Busch, because from what I know, I mean, I'm not the most adverse in oval racing, but I do love it. I think it's amazing. So I think Kyle Busch, and I know they do way more races than like an F1 calendar. So I think 230 is like under. He's most probably closer to 240 in terms of like wins. But that's I'm throwing like needle in a haystack
Yeah,
here.
but you're still correct. 230 is under the correct number, which
Wow.
is 232 NASCAR
Okay.
wins.
All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
So happy I got that.
Kevin Harvick, 118 combined National Series wins.
Darn. Okay, Kevin Harvick. I mean, the name sounds familiar. I don't think I'm gonna get this because again, oval racing wasn't so much my thing. Even though I did a lot of that in the simulator for fun. But I think it's under. I really don't know, to be honest.
You're right. It's
Okay.
under because the correct answer is 121 combined National Series wins.
Oh, there you go.
So he's third all time in NASCAR history behind Richard Petty and Kyle Busch.
Wow. All right.
How about Ayrton Senna?
Okay.
172 total Grand Prix races.
172. I think that's, man. So he raced like several years. I mean, unfortunately, he passed away in Imola. I think that was 94. But I'd say that's under. Has to be more than 172.
Okay, so this is the first incorrect answer.
Really? Okay. I thought it would be way more.
He had 161 Grand Prix starts during his career.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. And it was a short, like a career that really got stopped too short, I think. He was really, for me, Ayrton's one of the greatest, So it felt like he raced for a lot longer because of like the legacy and like the fame he still holds today in Formula One. So yeah, I'm sad I got that one wrong.
I was rooting for you to get it perfect.
Yeah.
How about this? Charles Leclerc, 10 F1 Grand Prix wins.
Ooh, Charles. I think, man, you guys are really testing my knowledge, right? So this is going to different nations for racing or cultures. Charles, at the moment, I think this is over.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's over because he's right at 8.
He's at the
At this
cusp
point,
of
yeah.
10. Yeah.
He's won 8 Grand Prix across 8 seasons.
Mhm.
Okay, Lando Norris, second place in the 2025 F1 standings.
Second place in the 2025 F1 standings. That is under because he's actually leading the championship by 1 point to Oscar Piastri.
Galing.
Yeah.
You really are walking inside. Yeah, he's first place right now in the current standings.
Yeah, I think he has 357 points. Piastri has 356.
Man, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Michael Schumacher, 100 podium finishes.
Oh man. Okay, so Michael was a machine, and I grew up when I started watching F1, seeing him race. So he's got to have that's under. He's got to have more than that, more than 100 podiums.
Correct again.
Yeah.
He's had 155 podium finishes in his career, which is the second most for any driver in Formula One history behind Lewis Hamilton.
Mm.
Yeah. Wow. Marlon Stockinger, just one mistake.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad about that. I have to come back again, and we gotta run this back so I get a perfect score.
Yeah, that's the highest score so far for
Oh, really?
anybody who's done this.
Okay.
Yeah, great
Do you
job.
ask the questions and it's related to their sports too?
Yes. Yes.
So okay, happy. I'll keep that for now.
All right. So now that we've done this icebreaker, we will change gears, speed up, and bring this conversation to the next level. The upcoming segment is called Uncovered. Everyone, welcome to our Uncovered segment, still with the one and only Marlon Stockinger. So this time, we'll learn more about his humble beginnings and winning moments inside the track. So, Marlon Stockinger, your last name, is your dad, where is he originally from?
So my dad's Swiss, but at this point, I'd say he's more Filipino than anything because he's spent basically more of his life now in the Philippines. And then my mom's Filipina, so I'm half Swiss, half Filipino.
Okay. Your mom is originally from where here in the Philippines?
So don't have a province, just Parañaque.
Parañaque.
Yeah,
Okay.
just basically like, in the city pretty much. No provincial area for us.
And you were born here?
I was born here in Makati. So born and raised. Grew up like along Rojas Boulevard. So Manila Bay, watching the sunset every day was pretty cool as a kid, seeing that.
Oh, so that's a core memory of yours.
Yeah, like for sure. Because we lived in this like nice little apartment. That's where a lot of my best friends growing up, like I got to meet.
Yeah.
It's very bohemian style, like chill vibe over there. Like people were photographers. My dad used to like hiking and adventuring a lot. Traveling the Philippines too.
Yeah.
So yeah, grew up all my life basically here in the Philippines.
Man, Ross Boulevard is so different now. Manila Bay.
Oh, yeah.
With the Mall of Asia and all the establishments there.
Definitely.
Were you exposed to other sports growing up, and how did you come to getting to know like motorsports? When was the first time you got behind the wheel?
So yeah, that's a cool story actually. So when I was like a young kid, my dad I think had like a midlife crisis, and then he started going to the go-kart track. So I had no clue about racing at that point. Actually, I think my first sport more than anything was golf, because my lolo was like a golf pro. So the way I'd bond with my lolo was after school he'd pick me up, then we go to the driving range. But I only ever went to the driving range. But then this time when I got home, I noticed my dad like had like a helmet. He had like racing suits. Sometimes he smelled like there's like that smell of like gasoline, and like you've just been to the racetrack, and I'm like wondering like, why do you look like an astronaut every time you come home? So I guess once my curiosity was like piqued, my dad was like, all right, I'll take you to the go-kart track. So he brought me to Carmona, and then I was just watching him race, drive around, thought it was pretty cool. And I think long behold, like he always had like a plan, because the minute the race weekend was done, he had like a little go-kart waiting for me. And then he said like, do you want to try it? So obviously I was like, yeah, for sure. I got in, and because the track was closed, there were no marshals or anything. They just told me to go up turn one, make a U-turn, come back down. And I did that a couple times. Then when I parked it, like I looked at him and he looked at me, and he knew already like, okay, we're going to do this now. We're just going to go racing. So from there's this young kid. His name was like Lorenzo. And Lorenzo was like the top dog in like my age group, which was like, I think between 8 to like 12 years old. Like it's the cadet class in racing, which you can start when you're a young kid. And then me and my dad went to him and in the paddock area there in Carmona, and we bought one of his used go-karts That became my first one, and then basically the rest is history. That's how my racing career started. Yeah.
Wow. So no other sport had a chance. Like, did you get into other sports? Like, I mean, most kids growing up here get into basketball.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, growing up in the Philippines, all my cousins, my uncles, they all grew up playing basketball. That's how we bonded as a family. So pick up games in the village, in the park, or playing where my like in the area my mom's from in Parañaque, like just street ball. Playing in chinelas, barefoot, didn't matter. Or we had like a hoop also in like my dad's place in the garage. So we just play one-on-one matches. School breaks, that's all I did was play basketball. Again, like pickup games, 3-point shooting contests, just dribbling, doing crazy tricks. Like I grew up watching people like Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, right? Like those guys were my idols growing up. Shaq and Kobe together on the Lakers. So basketball was like, I think in terms of really falling in love with sports, that was my first love. Just because yeah, the culture in here in the Philippines, like everyone loves ball, right? But true enough, I got into the teams in school and also like for football, but the minute the racing bug hit me,
Yeah.
then like my school, like in school, the coaches were kind of getting annoyed because I kept missing practice because I'd be at the racetrack instead. And then eventually, yeah, racing took over. But I mean, I think just being an athlete, you can appreciate other sports. And I don't watch basketball as much just because I guess, as you get older, the generations, like it looks like kids are just playing now. But when you're the young kid and then you're watching people like older than you performing at like a top level, it gives you like something to admire, appreciate, like, or the work ethic, for instance.
Yeah.
But yeah, doesn't mean like once in a while I love to like shoot some hoops and just have fun. It's always a fun time to play other sports.
It's refreshing to me to hear that you actually liked basketball and that was your first sport. So I think that's something that not a lot of people know because people really know you as Marlon Stockinger, the racer. So that's really refreshing to hear. So if your idol in basketball, I mean your idols were Iverson, Kobe, and Shaq. Who's your favorite racer as a kid?
Ooh, as a kid, I think it would have to be just watching Michael in a Ferrari. If I'm gonna be honest, I got to meet him. I got a signature.
Wow.
I went to the F1 race in Malaysia. We were like camping outside of, I think it was the Peninsula Hotel at the time. So my dad would bring me a couple of years to watch the race, to hear the sound. I mean, the V10 engine was like singing, and most probably that's why I have tinnitus now, because sometimes I would just take the earplugs out to just hear the rawness. I mean, the downshifts of those cars, it's like someone's shooting like a shotgun at you without a bullet. It was that like there was so much emotion just in the sound and the experience, the audio of like that racing car and Michael in a Ferrari like passing through. And yeah, like it was really him, because he was on this run. He was so good. He made the sport too boring. And a lot of the fans, maybe more the casual people, said like, where's the action? But he was just that good that like winning became like routine for him. And I found that to be amazing, like someone at that level, especially in motorsport where there's so many factors other than the driver that come into play into winning a race. So Michael was really, I think, special, and I appreciated that more. And but it's hard, honestly, because there's people obviously like Ayrton Senna, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen now in the modern era. But for me, really, like as a kid, it was Michael. It was
So
Michael.
you got his signature.
I got a signature.
What did he sign?
He signed a cap for me. I think my dad keeps it somewhere. And then like the race magazine that they always give out for that weekend. And I have a photo where Michael's signing it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because he was
bro.
having like dinner in like the hotel, and then he came out, he's at the peak of his career at this point.
Yeah.
And he was kind enough to say like no autographs to the adults. But I was a kid,
Yeah.
so all the kids, he was like, "I'll sign it all for you," and that really stuck with me for a long time. So it
Wow.
really made an impact in my life.
Would you say that that moment sort of inspired you to go pro, like down the road?
I don't know. I think seeing and hang out with like people at the track, watching the F1 races. I even remember like after or in between some of the days in Malaysia, like there was like this singing bar where there was like a Pinoy band
Mm.
in the hotel, and then the drivers would hang out there. And my dad would say like, "Look, that's Jack Villeneuve and Jensen Button. Why don't you go sit with them
Mm.
and then try and have a beer?" And I think we have a photo of that somewhere. And I don't know, just my dad had this cool way of making it feel so special, and being with these world champions and amazing race drivers growing up as a kid, where it felt normal. And from a very young age, I just knew I was always going to be doing this. I'd be in school and kids would be like, really, you just want to be a racer? Or even my teachers, like would kind of like doubt it, because I'd always have to ask permission to leave school because I'd be racing abroad or at the track. I don't know. I just felt like I always knew that this is what I was going to do, what I was going to do from a very young age, which if I look back now, it's like, how sure could you have been? But then I guess you need that belief and confidence, and even though you're not there yet, to actually get there. It's kind of like hubris in a way. Like I just believed that I would drive a Formula One car, which I ended up doing. But I knew that since I was 8 years old, like that was gonna happen for me. Yeah.
Of course, one of the steps you had to take to get to that level where you would eventually drive a Formula One car was moving to Europe. So, what age did you move to Europe to learn more about the sport and get better?
When I moved to Europe, I was a teenager. When it got more real for me, because there was this scholarship that BMW ran when they were in Formula One. And then you have like a shootout in Malaysia. They invite everyone from the region, I think like 30 plus drivers. And then they pick 5 who win the scholarship. And then you get like a sponsorship. I think like I won $150,000 to support my first year in cars. So at that point, my first year in cars officially, like I won the scholarship. I was a junior driver for BMW for the F1 team. So they flew us out to Barcelona to watch the test. I watched Robert Kubica testing that day. I was in the garage, in the paddock. We went to the factory. So it was run by Sauber at the time, which was in Switzerland, not far from my hometown, because like I'm half Swiss, so that's close to Zurich. And yeah, like that was like my first like endeavor to Europe. When I really moved there was the year after that. And there was this guy, Terry Fullerton. So Terry used to do some training here in go-karts in the Philippines. But the cool thing about Terry is Terry was one of the very few people that beat Ayrton Senna in go-karts. And if you watch the film Senna, at the end of the movie, they ask Ayrton, like, who's the hardest driver you've ever raced? Something like this. I mean, don't quote me word for word, but he ends up saying it was Terry Fullerton. And that guy was living here in the Philippines, teaching people how to go-kart. And he ended up being one of the guys who, along with my dad, obviously supporting me and my family, getting me to like the UK to start my racing career. So I was like 16 at the time, living there. Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Man, that's an amazing story, and how things fell into place for you to get there. But like, to prepare for an actual global competition like a formula race, how does that happen? How do you even like get your mind right for that type of situation?
Well, it was a lot of learning. From go-karts, the thing with go-karts was it was physical, but then like you could have a lot of seat time very easily. And then it just keeps ramping up once you get the cars. And like the preparation at like the top level, when you're with the best drivers in the world, like they're so complete. Like a lot of people have this stereotype like where, oh, it's just like driving. You sit in a car, you're not running, you're not catching a ball, you're not doesn't look like you're performing anything athletic, but actually it's one of the most athletic things I believe you can do in terms of sport, because you're hustling, one of the fastest race cars in the world around the racetrack, experiencing like heavy G-force. The seat belts are tight, so you're constricted with your lungs. It's an endurance battle as well, because the hours are the races are more than like an hour plus sometimes. You're sweating, like you have to stay focused, consistent, concentrated. So physical preparation was like the biggest shocker for me. And I think that's something here that people are starting to slowly realize, is like how important fitness is. There's so much you can do outside of the racetrack that makes you quicker, which a main factor, your day job, if you're a racing driver, is you have to be fit, So I think at my peak, I was doing triathlons, I was doing Olympic lifts, I was training like very hard, like just to be able to perform and do my job properly as a racing driver. Yeah.
You said the races last more than an hour. How do you go to the bathroom? So what happens?
Well, there's a lot of funny stories there, but sometimes some drivers can't make it to the toilet.
Uh-oh.
And but luckily there's a lot of airflow, so I'll just let you guys imagine what happens from there.
Okay, so racing for pretty much 25 years as a pro.
Yeah.
Did you say 25
Since
years?
I was 8.
Since you were 8.
So, I'm not gonna say my age, but like yeah, it's been a long time. It's been decades for sure.
Yeah, what are some of the most memorable competitions you've participated in as a pro, and what would you say was your most memorable race?
Darn. Well, there's a few. I'd say the like in my first real big championship was being Asian champion. I think that was a cool moment for me. That made me realize, like, okay, against, at least it's one thing to be a big talent, I guess, or someone that, like, in your own backyard, which was, Carmona for me for most of my early career. But then now, when I was able to test myself against other countries, other drivers that I've never seen or met before, who are also quick, who are also, you realize, like, it's just not you, from like the area you're from. That was a cool one, winning the Asian championship, and like in 2 categories in go-karts. So that really gave me a lot of belief. I think the one that really has to be up there would be Monaco, of course, just because that's I mean, if you win Monaco, like, only so many people know what that feeling's like, and it's really one of the 3 gems in motorsport, right? There's Le Mans, there's Indy 500, and there's Monaco. So it sounds a bit biased, but if you ask any driver if they've ever had the chance to win Monaco, they'll say, like, that's the one too.
So you talked about the first gem. There are 2 others, and I'm going to ask you a little bit about that when we move along in our conversation. But right now, we're so happy to learn about your beginnings and how you got into the sport, the first milestones in your career, and we would love to hear more of your personal stories as we go along. And we're going to do that in our next segment called Built to Last. So now that we've took a trip down memory lane, Marlon and I will now talk about the future, because as somebody who's reached the pinnacle in your sport, I think the next step for you is to inspire the next generation, and that's what you're working on with the many ventures that you have right now. But being the first Filipino to win a Formula One race, how does it feel to be someone engraved in the history of Filipino motorsports?
So I never won a Formula One race, but I did win a Formula race, right?
Formula race, yes.
I don't know. I guess now looking back, I realized, like, that was very special. It was hard. And it's one thing, again, to start, let's say, in the Philippines, where we do have a history of great racing drivers. I mean, just looking back, you can think of people like Dodgy Laurel, who also raced for Lotus, who also won Macau, which is also one of the most famous street races that happen every year. You had people like Jovi Marcello, who was like a Formula Atlantic champion in the States. I think he beat Jacques Villeneuve, who ended up being a Formula One world champion. And he even ended up making it to Indy 500 and did the practice. Unfortunately, he passed away. But, we've always had a history of great racing drivers. And I guess just for me to have been able to show my skills and to just have that belief that I would get to a point where I could showcase that and do that in Europe, where it's either really Europe, where I think has all the best drivers culminating, because they have, if you want to prove yourself, that's basically the testing grounds. And in my career, I'd say like on the Formula One grid, there are many drivers there that I've raced against, I've beaten, they've beaten me. But I knew I proved the skill to show that there's a reason why I was there in the end. There's a reason why I won that race too. It was pole position. It was a start to finish, a lead for the race for me. And again, it just gave me the belief, like, wow, like, doesn't matter where you start, if you have the belief and you can do it, anything's possible. And how great is our country for just having so much passion and the culture to be able to have given me like the starting point to showcase that in the end too. Like the Philippines is a great racing nation in my opinion. There's so much talent. There's so many people that love motorsports, and I think it's really like an uncaptured thing. Can't capture it enough. And yeah, like it's just cool to have been the first to really like get to do that for us and inspire the next generation, hopefully for very many years to come.
So speaking of the next generation, I was fortunate enough to have had this opportunity to try out one of your ventures, Meta Motors. And this is where you develop the grassroots, young drivers. They start off with the little car. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I think, Meta Motors was really something I looked into because there's just this point in my career where, okay, like the sponsors, it was difficult to support this endeavor towards going to F1. I think the rise at which I suddenly was able to drive a Formula One car, get there, I think just the country wasn't ready for it. And at that time, the broadcast rights were very restricted, so it was hard to promote it. It's not like these days, modern F1 now, it's all over social media. It's American ownership. It's easier to advertise, but still, we made it there, right? So when it was just more difficult to get that support at that level, I obviously went through this period in my career where I was like, okay, what can I do if I'm not going to be behind the wheel? I think every athlete in a healthy way should like ask that question of themselves, because life is a longer game than any sport you'll ever play, right? Like your career, whether it's on the court, whether it's behind or holding the racing wheel, playing whatever, there's just a lot more life you're gonna live at some point, right? There and after.
Yep.
And I really wanted to be able to lay the foundation for a career where, one, it would keep me close to my sport. Two, give me something that I could build for the future. And Meta Motors was that. That was kind of like it was like my second venture as an entrepreneur into the business startup scene. And the reason why that happened was because I wanted to be able to give something to people that made racing more accessible and break the stereotype that motorsports is expensive, it's only for rich people. You have to have money to participate. Well, in this case, no, because actually with these cars, you get to learn what the racing line is in Meta Motors. You get to race against other people. You get to feel what competition's like, especially with the rise of, sim racing. I mean, think of Max Verstappen. The guy spends more time on a sim compared to the seat time he has in an F1 car. And he's the best driver in the world. So having a computer playing the game is a lot cheaper and easier, which is why I wanted to build what I did with Meta Motors, just to get more people into the sport. And again, break the stereotype that you need money to show your talent. In this case, it's not. And I think I just want to add one more thing to that, because we had one guy who's like the one of the quickest in the league we ran for Meta Motors. And then I wanted to kind of run him through a Gran Turismo journey where I took him to the go-kart track because I
Okay.
wanted to see if his talent translated. His name's Ramon. So he did well. He did the right lines on the go-kart track. And then I took him to Radical. And that day when he did the test, he was faster than the national go-kart champion.
Wow.
And this guy never had the budget, money, or the opportunity to go racing in Clark. And because of Meta Motors, where there was just accessibility, he was able to shine and show his talent. You know, he created the story for himself. So I think that was really cool. That's where I know, like with the startup Meta Motors, I know I'm doing the right thing. You know,
Did that take you back to that moment when it was your dad who brought you to Carmona for the go-kart?
yeah. I mean, everyone's got their own journey. I'm just hoping I'm able to provide a platform for more people to experience and have that too. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, like in my career outside of just driving and racing, because I love motorsport. That's never going to go away. But if I can create an opportunity and that's part of like a business I'm trying to build, and it's my true passion and calling, I mean, most probably I feel like I'll never have to work a day in my life. And I think the beauty of that is I'm helping a lot more people also in the experience I've built over my racing career too.
That's amazing, man. And I'm sure you've inspired so many people. Some names right now that are in the news from a racing standpoint: Bianca Bustamante, Inigo Anton.
Oh yeah.
They're making a scene right now in motorsports. So, what are your tips for them to continue the streak that they're having right now in their racing careers?
I think it's just that. I mean, Bianca's done such a great job, especially for women in our sport. I think for the longest time, you know, it was very obvious that not even just the girls who race, but in the teams I've had engineers who were some of the best, and they were girls. I've had a teammate when I was racing in GP3. When I won Monaco, my teammate was actually a girl, Alice, who Bianca would know very well too. And again, like in Bianca's case, right? Like she's a trailblazer in that aspect for our sport, because she's showing the girls like the way, like how it's done, right? Like start in Carmona, like just keep your head down, focus. She trains a lot, and I think it's wonderful. She's putting a lot of that content out there where, especially in this modern era for motorsport, people are understanding it takes a lot more than just showing up at the track. Inigo also, I mean, just he's from a motorsport background. His dad, Carlos Anton, you know, they've been in the scene for a very long time, and it was only inevitable that Inigo is just going to be able to show his talents too. And we're just talking about two drivers here in that aspect who have really done well, really performed, but there's a whole pool of talent, I think, still that is on the rise too. You have people like Zach David racing in Japan. You have people like Eduardo Cosateng, who's racing in GT3s in Europe. Ryan C, who's like a up and coming go karter, and we're all waiting for him like to just come onto the real circuit in like proper cars too. So it's just, yeah, like it's the track's just getting more professional here. The culture is really like becoming more refined, and talent is gonna be inevitable. I think at that point, I think it's just hopefully with the passion being driven for motorsports so heavily here that, you know, there really is support, and the drivers get the support they deserve. Because I think, you know, this is a sport where we can shine, right? Like I'm not the tallest person, so, you know, like just our biology alone, I think better suits racing. In a way, you don't have to be that tall, but you just need like to be driven. And we have so many people, I think, that are coming up, and we're gonna be seeing that for like the near future too.
Yeah, and it's great that you already have your eyes and these drivers in your mind and seeing the potential and what they can do in the sport. But going back to you, Marlon, before we get to some fan questions, you mentioned one gem, Monaco. What about the other two? Are there plans of you, getting back behind the wheel and pursuing that?
That's really, yeah. Um, that's a cool question. I was in a race car not too like a couple days ago,
Mm.
and you know I don't think it's trying to be mayabang or anything, but I do believe like I'm one of the best in racing, and that's not left me. Okay, I've had to like focus and do a couple things to just fight this identity crisis when the support from my racing career stopped, but it didn't stop me from just grinding and staying close to the sport. And okay, if I can't race myself, I can build something. But I don't think the passion or my talent ever died down. If ever it just got hungrier. And I believe I can still compete with the best because I know, it's kind of like a happy and a sad thing to watch F1 races because there are many guys that I was on the same grid with when I watched that. And maybe F1's not in my story anymore, but I have Monaco. That's one gem.
Mm.
And maybe my target really is to end my career winning Le Mans. I believe I can do that. I have the belief and the capability to win Le Mans. And if I can have two of the three gems in motorsport, I think then I'm sitting with a very high caliber of racing drivers where, I can be very happy with my career. I mean, I'm already happy, but there's unfinished business.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to achieving that for sure.
Yeah, hearing you say that, I got all excited sitting here because I see the fire in your eyes. It's still there. It's still there. And looking forward to seeing you whenever you decide to pursue that second gem. But now, of course, your fans here on the show would like to hear your thoughts with their questions. And I guess with that said, let's get to the next segment. As we're close to the finish line, let's go to our segment called Serve and Respond. All right, so we've gathered some questions around social media about motorsports, and we're curious to find out what your own picks are for these questions. So, fan question number one: what is your pre-race routine?
Hmm, that's interesting. I like to just be able to prep and just arrive at the track where like I already like put my shoes a certain way. Like I always put my suit on a certain way. I think it's always the race underwear first, and then I get into my suit. Then it's my boots, and then I walk to the paddock. And my mom's very religious, so I grew up. As a kid, I'd go to mass, go to church. So she instilled that in me. I think very much so. And I don't know, it's just this weird thing because racing for me just gives me this feeling where I'm like my best higher self. And I guess in a weird way that also makes me feel very close to God. And I feel, I tell this to everybody like who does racing or gets the opportunity to race a racing car. It's a privilege. And for me, it's definitely a blessing. I mean, I can't believe like I've driven all these wonderful race cars. So I always do the cross before I get in the car, just to be like, thankful for this opportunity. I know it's a dangerous sport too, but there's nothing better than what I could be doing that day if it was being in a racing seat. So that's all thanks to my mom. And, I guess, yeah, just trying to be the best version of yourself when you perform in your sport too. So that's like my biggest routine is I do the left side of the car, do the cross, then I get into the car basically.
Second question here: which among the following racing vehicles do you prefer? F1, rally, or drift car?
Darn, those are tough. I mean, wouldn't it sound so like cliche if I said F1. Because the other two are great, like rally and drifting. I mean, I've always wanted to explore rallying, so I can't really understand the sense of that, but I did appreciate drifting. Sorry to make the answer so long, right? But it's just I realized there's other forms of, let's say, cars racing that you can appreciate, and I got to do that because of Toyota. So we had like a festival in Carino Grandstand, and I got like a last minute invite to join like a drift competition. And Toyota brought like their Japanese champions from rally and drifting. And that day, like when we were practicing, I was like the worst one because I've never drifted a car in my life. I didn't know how to do that. Because like for me, circuit racing is like if you're sliding, you're slow. But drifting, you have to do it, right? Because it's part of the art or like the sport. So they set up these cones. Every time I kept drifting, I kept hitting the cones. And we did it with like a GR86, like a manual. So I was like, man, I can't get this. And there's even one point where the people from Toyota came up to me and they were like, Marlon, would you like to use the automatic car instead? And I felt like at that moment, like so ashamed. Like you guys are offering me the automatic versus the manual. Like this feels like I'm embarrassed, right? So I was like, no, I'm gonna push through. Like I gotta do it in the manual, right? Like that's the purest way to do a drift. So that evening, I go back to the hotel room. I was literally up till 2 a.m. watching YouTube videos of how to drift. And I was watching some guy in an old Civic or some car drifting around the trash can. Because I was that nervous. Because the next day was the competition. Anyway, we rock up the next day. So the Japanese are guests from Toyota. So they get the first pick on who they battle. It was like a knockout stage sort of thing.
Yeah.
So the Japanese guys or drivers picked me.
Yeah.
So I went up against two Japanese champions.
Yeah.
The first run wasn't perfect, but I don't think I hit any cones. The other guy did. So if you hit a cone, there's like a penalty. Beat him. Next guy was the Japanese champion again. Beat him. And then the final bosses basically came along, right? We had like a former champion from the Vios Cup. And then the last run I had was against like Alex Perez, who was really like cool to me. Like he made me sit with him in the car, showed me the techniques and everything. But Alex is like, whenever he's driving, he looks like he's always late to go somewhere. He's like from Jason Statham and like what's that movie where he drives like the Audi and like I forget. But this guy is like amazing. Did a perfect run. The president of Toyota was there that day. Shook his hand after he did that. Now it's on me. I'm like the last guy. I had my run. So I don't think I did the run as beautiful as Alex. But the thing is, you had to drift and it was against time. And if it's against time, I think I always have a shot, right? So I was able to drift it. And then the final parking was like you had to do like a handbrake turn and parallel park the car into like 4 cones. I got it into the slot. I hit the cone. But the thing is, if the cone gets hit but doesn't fall, no penalty. Then I ended up winning the whole thing. And that really made me appreciate drifting so much because it's really an art. And the first time you pull the handbrake, you dump the clutch and you get the rear wheels to spin and you're holding a drift. Like I'm getting goosebumps talking about it now. So I think it's a tight battle between drifting a car beautifully or Formula One. But I'd still say it's Formula One for me.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah.
So staying up until 2 a.m., that was the key.
I don't know. I don't think it worked, honestly. I was just scared because everyone was so good and nobody thought I was gonna win. I mean, I just tried to believe.
And
You
then the
know?
Japanese guys picked you because they thought you wouldn't do well because
Yeah.
on your first go around
They were like literally laughing at me and
Oh
watching
my
me the whole. They
God.
doubted me so much. They were like, "Is did he really?" So it was really fun, and it was a great competition, and hats off to everyone. But like that was one of the coolest experiences I've had outside of circuit racing.
Man, that's
You
an
know,
awesome story, bro.
yeah,
Okay, who's the motorsports goat for you?
darn. It's hard to say, really. I think the motorsport goat has to be. I mean, Michael Schumacher. I think statistically and what he did with Ferrari was amazing. He pulled. He was a great driver, but racing so much a team sport. I think a lot of people forget about that. It's easy to think that when a guy's up on the podium lifting the first place trophy, that like he did that. No, it's in Formula One. It's a whole damn factory. You have everyone like working at the desk or working at the track, turning the spanners on your racing car. Like it's a whole village that supports you just so you can go very fast. And I think what Michael did beautifully was, transform Ferrari into a world championship winning team. And he did that better than anybody because he was just amazing. Like his confidence, his work ethic, last one to leave, first one again in the morning, the next day. The guy did everything on and off track to win. And I think that made him amazing. But I think the real GOAT was Senna because Senna was like what I mean, his fame till this day. And even if I wasn't alive to see him racing alive yet, because I wasn't born, when I got to know about him, like if you watch Senna during any of his interviews, it's like you're learning something about life every time. He was a thinker, so and he just I mean, if you think the guys now are so famous, if you look at Senna and actually even how many people showed up for his funeral when he tragically died in Imola during one of the races, like the fame and the culture he built, it was insane, and it still holds to this day. Like so many drivers in the modern era will still say Senna's the GOAT for them too. Even Lewis Hamilton. So yeah, like it's hard, man. I just can't choose one. I think what I can do is appreciate all the greats for sure. I think it's unfair to put it on just one driver.
Yeah, it is. I love how you learned about the history of Senna despite not being born yet during his heyday.
Yeah.
What specific training should one go through to be a racer?
Ooh. Well, you can join us at Radical Track
There
Days
you go.
or
There's the
Meta
pitch.
Motors.
There's the pitch right there.
I guess that's one thing I've been enjoying and doing is having new people at the track, customers in Radical or people who come to Meta Motors to get the experience. Obviously, I'm there. Those are the companies I'm a part of. And then other than running the races, other than just trying to grow it, I do like to spend time, teach people, share my credibility and experience from what I've been given in my motorsport career growing up. And yeah, so just come see us there. Come check us out. We have social media pages too, so you can get all the info and cool things on there. But if you're going to Radical or Meta Motors, there's a good chance I'll be there and I can always share some cool advice.
Yeah, and I can vouch for Marlon. I was only there for a day, but he's a very chill coach. He's not scary. I mean, you see him race, he's always locked in, but at Meta Motor, sobrang bait. All right. Among the top F1 racers this year, who do you think would continue a winning streak until the next season?
Oh, man. You know what? It's so hard to say. I mean, think about when we started the interview or this podcast. Charles Leclerc only has 8 wins in however many seasons he's been in Formula One. I mean, obviously the earlier part, he wasn't with Ferrari yet. So he didn't have a car really that could win when he was in like Alfa Romeo. But the competition is so high. There's like no one really dominating. I mean, Max has dominated, but it's not like, like especially this year, you're having so many different winners. Even if McLaren's very strong. So to say that one's gonna continue to next year, it's kind of tough. But if I had to put my money on it, honestly, Max is he's still, I don't know, it's scary. I think he's still peaking.
Mm.
He's so ruthless. He's so good, so precise, so good in the wet. You know, like racing's not just driving around like in a dry race, right? We have to race all these variable and different conditions, and Max across the board. It's like it could be snowing and that guy's still gonna be fast. You know, and I think that's what makes him great too. I mean, look at I think the race last year in Sao Paulo where it's like it gives you a reminder of almost like what Senna was like in the rain too. And he came from the back of the grid to fight and I think win the race. And then suddenly the championship race ended for Lando and him because he just shot up and showed everyone who was boss basically. You know. So if I'm gonna put it on anyone, it's gotta be Max. Yeah.
There's one last fan question here, and it's about NASCAR and which teams you're rooting for the upcoming season. But I want to ask you, while we're in the F1 topic, about the movie, the Brad Pitt movie,
Yeah.
F1. Have you seen it?
I did. Yeah.
So, how accurate is the movie to real life F1?
Man, well, I guess we don't have to worry about spoilers anymore, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully, if you guys haven't seen it, but like, I'll just go ahead anyway. So spoiler alert: the opening part where Brad Pitt is like at Daytona, which is another race I'd love to win.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason why it's so cool to win these races, Daytona or Le Mans, is you get a Rolex Daytona, a one of a kind, as a prize.
Yeah.
So you can't buy this,
Yeah.
right? I mean, all the money in the world, you can't get that watch unless you win the race.
Mm.
So that's what makes it priceless. That's what makes it special. And that opening scene where Brad's in the Porsche racing around Daytona, I thought that was pretty cool. Kind of like realistic, you know, with the fireworks, like in endurance racing. I did a 24-hour race in Spa. It's like that too. You can smell like the party that's going around the racetrack. I think when I did my first 24-hour race, I remember going down the straight before Eau Rouge in Spa, and there was this concert area beside me, and Linkin Park was playing.
Ooh.
But the original group, you know, like how, one of them passed away, unfortunately.
Mm.
And I love Linkin Park. So Linkin Park was playing. I'm racing almost 200 plus kilometers per hour, going up Eau Rouge. Then I get to the back part, fireworks start like exploding because I was doing the night stint. So this is all happening at night, you know, and you're racing around for 24 hours. Then I could smell the barbecue. Then I honestly thought, like, what am I doing in this racing car? Like, there's, you know what I mean? Like, what am I doing? I'm just driving, pushing to the limit, and all these people are having so much fun. Like, you really get the sense of that. And I think they capture that beautifully in the beginning of the film. There are aspects, obviously, I think, that are very movified. If I'm going to put down a film that I believe is really good, one is something like my dad showed me, which is Grand Prix. Grand Prix is this beautiful black and white film, way before any of our times, right? Like all the cast are most probably, they're dead by now. For sure they're dead. But my dad said like this cast was like the Avengers cast at that time. And that's like one of the best films I've seen in terms of racing, as well as Ford versus Ferrari. I think just the aesthetic of the film, the storyline, the actors, that's a great one. And the fact that Christian Bale was like driving a station wagon. You know, he races like all these beautiful cars, the Ford GT, right? And travels all over the world. But then when he's going home, he's in a station wagon, which I think is very true of what it's like in real racing. Because when I started racing, my first car was a 1.2 liter Volkswagen Polo. It's literally like the foot of Optimus Prime. You know? So I think if I'm gonna pick a film, it's most probably Grand Prix Ford versus Ferrari. And F1 for the modern era is cool, but it's very movified in some parts. Yeah.
So going back to the last fan question, NASCAR. Who are you rooting for this year? What do you think is gonna happen?
You know what? I'm gonna be honest and say I haven't followed NASCAR. Like the most I really know about it is like people like Jeff Gordon, who also ended up driving a Formula One car. But in like being up to date, I unfortunately don't know enough. So I can't answer that question accurately.
That's fine. I'm sure the fans enjoyed everything else that you've shared during our conversation, and we're looking forward to everything you're going to do moving forward. And we will be praying for that second gem, Marlon. I like that bit that you revealed here in our conversation, and yeah, we're just super glad that you gave us so much, and we still have so much to look forward to with you and what you can give to sport, inspiring the next generation. But out of everything that you've gone through in your career, what's the biggest lesson that you want your fans to take away from your journey?
Man, is it's really like just not giving up. And I think that's just the beauty of what racing has taught me. But I've realized like in trying to just be the best at in what I do in my sport, it's been a cool life lesson in terms of, I think all the racing, it's glamorous, it's fun, but there's always going to be challenges. And I think just never giving up. You know what I mean? I mean, I haven't honestly sat in a race car and had the opportunity to showcase my talent for the longest time. But even though there's, I guess, been years now since I've had that opportunity, I never give up. And I think, just always believing is gonna really bring you more things, whether it's what you want in the end or another door opens. Just always believing and just being thankful that every day you get that chance to do so. I think like obviously it looks very privileged where we're coming from to do a sport like racing, but you just got to be thankful, I think, regardless of whatever struggle, whether it's at work, whether it's in your life, whether it's in the sport you play, just never giving up has never failed me, and I've been able to find new opportunities. I mean, I'm doing a podcast like this with you, Anton. Yep. And again, I appreciate just having the platform and opportunity to share those lessons through the beautiful sport that I'm in, which is racing. Yeah. And hopefully a lot more people along the way can appreciate that. And yeah, just always believe and never give up. That's what I live by. Because I know maybe I won't end up behind the wheel again. But if I keep that motto for myself, maybe I'll end up somewhere even better. Or I'll end up actually in the race car. But I'd like to come in positive, even though sometimes it can be challenging. It's always a good motto.
Man. Well, on that note, we want to say thank you so much for the time and the wisdom you shared. And we're still looking forward to everything you're going to be doing for racing and the next generation. And I'm sure lahat ng mga nakinig, everybody watching, marami din kayong nakuhang lessons mula sa ating kasama ngayon, ng ating kaastig na si Marlon Stockinger. Marlon, thank you so much for the time, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's great
Thanks,
catching
Anton.
up with you.
Yeah, cool.
Don't forget to follow Inside the Arena with Anton Rojas on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. At mga kaastig, i-comment nyo na down below sinong pick nyo as your favorite motorsports racer. This has been Inside the Arena with Anton Rojas, powered by Arena Plus, rooted in trust, backed by legends, and always playing for the long game.